everybody to Weekly Wednesday Training. Today we are talking about mid-year planning. And we're doing that today because we're only a couple of weeks, 2 to 3, depending on how you want to look at it, 2 to 3 weeks away from June, which is the start of third quarter, believe it or not. Yeah. So it is coming. We are, wait, did I just get that all wrong? I think I just got that all wrong. June is the end of second quarter, right? January, February, March, April, May, June.
Start of third.
Excuse me. Yes. So June is the end of second quarter, and then we'll be going into third quarter. So ideally, my point is, right, poorly delivered, but my point is that you want to be planning your mid-year planning to happen sometime in June. You know, earlier in June gives you more of 2021 to plan out. Later in June allows you to better analyze what you've already done in 2021. But by doing this training now, we're hoping to set you up so that you have a successful mid-year planning session with yourself. So why is it important that you plan for yourself? Leaders need to engage in and practice personal planning. That's first and foremost, so you can live an awesome life, right? Great things may happen without you planning them, and great things will be more likely to happen. Great things that you want to have happen, whether that is retiring by a certain age, being financially free by a certain age, making sure that you are able to take a year off, perhaps in middle age, to be with your kids and to travel the world. Whatever it is you want to do, these great things like that do not happen without planning. Yes, other great things may happen in your life, but in order to accomplish and enjoy the benefits of some really great things, you are going to have to practice planning. So that is the first and most important reason to practice planning, so that you can live just an awesome life. Secondly, as humans, it's just acknowledged, and data is out there to show that we are absolutely stinking terrible at estimating the time it takes us to do things. And so by practicing personal planning, you have this opportunity to plan out what you want to do, to figure out your steps to get there, and then to understand how you're doing with estimating time, how you yourself do with figuring out how much time you actually need to accomplish tasks, how much time you actually need to make progress towards your goals. And that, in this cyclical or iterative fashion, allows you to analyze how you're planning, get better at it, get better at asking questions that challenge your plans. You get better at predicting what's going to happen because you are looking at how you've already been predicting, where you've gotten it wrong, where you've gotten it right. You're working to exploit your strengths and to build up your weaknesses so that you overall are better with it. So that is another reason why it's critical that as leaders, we plan at a personal level. Any questions about those two things so far? No? Okay. Thirdly, as you plan and move forward and reflect on said plans, you gain more empathy for the people that you work with that are also planning. Again, we're crappy at doing this, right? We think we're really good at it. Some of us think we're excellent. Some of us know that we're challenged. But the more we think we're good at it, the less empathy we may have for others that we work with that are also poor at planning. The more that we are going through like this humbling exercise ourselves, and candidly and sometimes critically looking at what we have thought we could accomplish and then recognizing what actually got done, we build out our empathy and our ability to connect with others that also are poor at planning. So it's a really humbling practice, and it is good because with repetition we'll get better, but we'll also gain empathy and consideration and be able to connect more readily on a humanistic level with those that we're working with that are also doing a poor job planning. All right, so what are the steps that you want to take in order to do this? And I seriously am still downloading Adobe. So I had made a PowerPoint because I default to PowerPoints and they get comfortable. I'm going to try showing it. I think it's going to come up in Edge and it may look good. It might not. So we'll just try it. And, oh, wait, maybe Adobe's here now. Oh no, that's not gonna, it's gonna finish installing. Awesome. Let's just give this a try and see how it looks. Let's share. What are y'all seeing right now?
I think I see the PowerPoint. It looks like it might be a little bit cut off because the P for Power with Co is cut off on the bottom.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's close that. Let's just try one more time. And if that doesn't work, then we'll just give up and I'll just talk about it. But
that looks good.
That looks good. Okay. Is it like full screen? Oh.
Yeah, it looks like it's full screen. It's like very half and half with a person on the left side.
Yeah.
Pink screen on the right side. I can see all the words, so I think you're good.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I've got stuff blocking it, so hang on. Oh my. Okay. All right, great. All right, so mid-year planning, that's what we're talking about today. So now you see a second slide?
I do, it's working.
Great. Yep. All right. So like a boss, right? You want to plan like a boss. You want to plan your life like a boss. And I love this quote from Confucius about life being really simple, but we just make it hard. Planning your dreams, your goals is the same. You can make it really, really simple. And we're just going to be talking about 3 steps today for how to do this. And of course, I'm sure all of us have always heard that failing to plan is planning to fail. So there again, if you don't know where you want to go, you may wake up in a few years and be like, life isn't really looking the way I want it to look. Or you may wake up in 6 months and feel completely burnt out because you again have not been planning where you want to go. You haven't been living in alignment with who you are and what you want to be. So the first step, and hopefully you're seeing this, the clouds in the sky, yep, good, okay, is to block the time on your calendar to plan, all right? Many of you know, if not all of you, that I really love calendar blocking. And a few weeks ago, actually, I was just feeling fried at the end of days. I was not getting done the most critical tasks that I knew I had to get done during the day. So even though I was doing a lot and I was busy, I was not feeling as though I was making the forward progress that I wanted. Well, sure enough, even though I had been calendar blocking, there were adjustments in my work schedule that were impacting how I normally had been working. And my calendar wasn't necessarily accommodating them. Instead of somebody jumping into my calendar and me having to move around the pivotal tasks that I had in my calendar, I was just letting it happen. And so stuff wasn't getting done. It was on my calendar, but I wasn't accomplishing it because I was having, surprise, all of these ad hoc meetings. And I realized that I needed to get back to the basics with calendar blocking. The same is true with scheduling time to plan. And again, we talked about June being the end of second quarter. So you have at this point, like 6 to 7 weeks in which you can find 2 hours to block for your mid-year planning. So you have to have it on your calendar, and not only putting it on your calendar, but setting yourself up for success in those 2 hours. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you want to minimize interruptions. You want to make sure that your cell phone, if that can be a point of distraction for you, is off in a corner, perhaps on silent. If you need to access your computer for researching things or looking up and putting into your calendar what you want to get done in the second half of 2021, you want to have only the tabs open that you will need for that particular purpose. And perhaps you'll have your work email closed so that you're not checking that. Any instant messaging, service that you have for work, you want off. Again, you want to allow yourself those 2 uninterrupted hours for planning. So I'm just going to pause quickly and see if there are any questions about blocking the time and what that looks like. Now, we've all talked to people who have said, there just isn't the time to plan. And I'd like us all to call BS on that and point out that there is not the time if you don't make the time. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying squeezing 2 hours of thinking time into either your work day or your personal life is an easy task, but it is doable and it is an important one, because what you plan out during this mid-year planning and how you reflect on the work that you've already done guides you in your day-to-day decision-making, and in time just makes planning and the iterative process of reviewing your plans that much easier. Janessa, do we have any questions coming in over the live chat?
Not yet.
Okay, awesome. All right, so step 1. So you've got your 2 hours blocked. You have set yourself up for success. You're not going to be hungry in this 2 hours. Ideally, you've got, a comforting beverage. You are going to be going deep into what you want and where you've come from in the past 6 months and how you're doing. So you want that time to think. You want to be setting yourself up to be in a position where you're open to possibilities. Perhaps you are working through this at your desk. Maybe you're in like a cozy nook in the corner of your home. Whatever makes it a sort of delicious experience for you will also make it something that you do again and again. Maybe you have a favorite coffee shop that you now can go back to and sit in and hang out. And if that's an uninterrupted place where you can work, maybe you do it there so that you again have sort of this incentive to really enjoy the time and relish it, so that as you think about planning in the future, you're like, oh, I get to go back there and have that amazing latte and that delicious bagel that they have. That's sort of always in my planning routine. Whatever you can do to set yourself up for continued success in planning, do it, make it enjoyable. And so the first step in planning is not to simply move forward. So often when we sit down and we think about planning out where we want to go, we just think about moving forward. And I like to draw a corollary between planning without reflection and people that go to solve a problem without really knowing what the problem is. So there's that Einstein quote, I believe it's Einstein, about, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend the first 55 minutes figuring out what the problem was. I've totally butchered it, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. The point being, too often we just want to move forward, right? We're like, okay, so I'm going to do this, this, and this. And we're not really thinking about, well, what did I say I was going to do in the past 6 months? And what have I done? What have I haven't? And why? Why, right? So the 5 whys that I have here, when you're reflecting on 2021, is that 5 whys technique that's used to explore the cause and effect of relationships and ideally identify or help you to identify some sort of underlying pattern. So for example, if you had plans for the first half of 2021, and you look at the goals that you had for the first half of 2021, and you're like, oh, I didn't do that one. I didn't do that one. I kind of did that one. Okay. Well, why? Why didn't you do the goals? Were they clear? Yeah, so say they were clear. Yep, they were clear goals. Okay, why didn't I do the goals? I'm asking that question again. Oh, well, I kind of wrote them down and forgot them. Okay, why did I write them down and forget them? Well, I guess I didn't have planning check-ins booked. Okay, why didn't I have planning check-ins booked? Well, I wasn't planning to invest this much time in planning. Oh my gosh. You can see where I'm going though. You're getting to, why did I have these goals that maybe I somewhat accomplished, maybe I didn't accomplish? Maybe you have a goal that you blew out of the park. Maybe you had a goal that you planned to have done by the end of 2021. And oh my gosh, look at this. You actually finished it at the end of first quarter. Why? What about that goal was so achievable? Was it not a stretch enough goal? Was it just something you were so passionate about? Why? Use those 5 whys to continue to peel back the layers to understand this cause and effect of what you planned and where you are now, so that you can better understand how to plan moving forward. So I'd actually like to pause once again, see if anybody has any goals that they know of for, that come to their mind that, they had perhaps planned to do in the first half of 2021. And maybe you're there now and you hit that goal out of the park, or maybe you didn't even get halfway there and you're wondering why. And anybody that may, and there's no pressure, but if anyone wants to try the why exercise with me, now is an opportunity to do that. No whys. Okay. Say you get here and you think, okay, how is my 2021 planning and execution going? Well, I don't know, because I didn't plan. Well, why didn't you plan? Maybe at that point you didn't realize the significance of it. Maybe you did, but you again didn't make the time. The more that you can reflect on how things are going for you and how your planning and execution on said plans went, the better you'll understand yourself, your own psychology, and how you want to plan moving forward. Okay. If we don't have any questions, I'll go on to step 2. So step 2 is to pick 3 goals for the rest of your year. Now, those that are in the Mindful Leaders Academy and that are working with me, we went all the way out 10 years, and then we systematically and considerately scrolled back and kept reining in where we want to be in 8, 5, 3, 2, 1, 6 months, then quarters. This is a variation of that. So if you don't know where you want to be in 10 years, that's okay. You may want to practice that exercise. You might just want to wait until you're working with somebody else that is helping you to future cast your vision. What you want to do right now is at least know where you want to be at the end of 2021, because again, this is your mid-year planning, right? So I suggest that we work with 3 goals, and I usually have them put forward as 1 personal, 1 professional, and 1 wild card, sort of you choose. It might be a hybrid of personal and professional. Perhaps it's a goal to have better work-life balance. That could be an example of a hybrid personal and professional goal. Or maybe it's solely another personal goal or solely another professional goal. It's your wild card. So pick 3 goals and think about these goals in relation to the amount of time that you have to measure yourself against them and make progress, and what makes sense. So you're picking 3 goals for the end of 2021. If one of your goals is to be able to run 5 miles, and you're not a runner yet, but you know that you can physically start running and with a training plan do it safely, then that seems like a realistic goal. If you are not a runner and you have a goal for the end of 2021 to run 3 marathons, well, you probably need to check yourself. That doesn't seem like a very realistic goal. Similarly, can it in any way be SMART goals? Not all goals can be SMART, and SMART stands for specific, measurable, I want to say action-oriented, reasonable, and
Attainable.
Attainable. Thank you. That's it. Yes. So can they be SMART goals? And if not, can you rework them so that they are SMART goals? Again, not every goal can necessarily be a SMART goal, but the more that you can measure it, and fit it into that framework, the easier it will be for you to see progress on it. And are they dependent only on you? Let's say that your goal is to be promoted by the end of the year. Well, there are going to be things in that goal that are completely within your realm of control. And it's possible that even if you do everything to obtain that goal, you still won't be promoted by the end of the year. Maybe there's a hiring or a movement freeze within your organization. So maybe you actually want to rework that goal so that you want to be either promoted by the end of the year or be actively looking for that promotional level job somewhere else so that you can still maintain the ownership of that goal. So in that example, I want to be promoted by the end of the year, or I want to be actively on the market looking for that job at that level that I know I want to be working at. There's an example of where the ownership is still maintained by me. I'm going to do everything I can to be promoted here. But in the event that I still am not going to get promoted, I will be looking for that job elsewhere. And so even if the promotion doesn't happen, the action of looking for that job elsewhere is still within my realm of ownership. Does that make sense? Yeah, so far. Okay. So you want to test out your goals. You want to make sure they make sense. You want to make them as measurable, as SMART as possible. And you want to make sure as much of the goal is within your control as possible. And then work backwards in a logical fashion. If you're not a runner and you want to be running 5 miles by the, 5 miles 3 times a week by the end of 2021, what does that look like? And there's where you might want to be doing some reading. What does a beginning running training plan look like? How can I be setting myself up for success to get there and to not get injured? What does that look like according to professionals? Enlist professional help. That can be working with somebody on a professional level, or it can just be reading information. And that can be some of what you do as you're planning out in those 2 hours. But again, if you're opening up those Chrome tabs to read about a running training plan, make sure you're not also checking your email and going to social media and doing those other things. You want to stay focused in those 2 hours and getting the plan for 2021 in place. So you're going to work backwards. If your goal is to be promoted by the end of 2021, well, then you want to be, if it takes at least 6 weeks to get approval internally from your organization, you're going to want to be having those discussions about that promotion. If you haven't already been talking with your manager about that, you're going to want to make sure that you are having those discussions in a timely fashion. And then, for example, maybe as you're thinking through that and you're thinking, okay, should I have those discussions in November because it's going to take them at least 6 weeks? Oh, well, wait, they actually don't do a promotional review cycle until February. You'll learn these things and you'll be able to tailor your goals appropriately. So you're going to work backwards in a logical fashion and determine where you need to be by when to be on track to achieve your goals. And then you're going to want to create and schedule your progress on your goal check-in. This can be weekly for some goals, especially those goals that you are seeing clear practice on or clear growth on every week. The example of the running goal is a great goal to think about because it's very logical, and you can be checking off your workouts each week as you advance on a map that perhaps is just even pulled from one Runner's World for you, right? It's not even something you had to come up with. It was something you could just grab from the internet and work off of. Or you might want to, you know, if it's working towards that promotion, it may make more sense to have a check-in with yourself on that goal on a monthly fashion. You know, there's certain things you're going to do in July. There's certain trainings that you're signed up for in August, you know, all of those things that you're mapping out to achieve your goal. It might make more sense to check in on that goal on a monthly basis. So look at your goals and evaluate how frequently you want to check in on each of these 3 goals. And then at this time, schedule also at least a quarterly check-in where you do a bit more of a deep dive. That would be a 1-hour block of time for your 3rd quarter check-in to make sure that you're going to accomplish all of these by the end of 4th quarter. Now that 1-hour block of time that you're checking in on these goals, that though can't be the first time you're checking in on the goals since you planned them out in June. You need to be checking in on them more frequently. And I'm just going to pause here and see if there's any questions on, on your planning and your scheduling of goals. Hey, it's a quiet group today. Janessa, any questions coming in over the chat?
Nope, I don't see any.
Okay. All right. And then step 3, rinse and repeat, right? Again, you wouldn't wash your clothes once and expect them to stay clean forever. In the same way, you cannot plan your goals for the second half of 2021 and expect that miraculously what you want to do in 2022 is just going to happen. You need to keep investing this time in planning, and going back to step 1, investing the time in reflecting on your plans at the beginning of your planning session. This, again, helps you to be a better leader, helps you to be more empathetic, helps you to be better at planning. And that informs and builds out not only your personal dreams and achievements, but also your professional dreams and achievements. So you have to rinse and repeat. Make sure and try as much as possible to be scheduling out your future planning sessions and setting them up so that they're enjoyable for you, setting them up so that you want to do them. Maybe you get some sort of reward when you're done doing them. Maybe just being able to go to your favorite coffee shop and hang out there for 2 hours uninterrupted and have their delicious latte. Maybe that's a reward enough. Maybe you do this before you have your massage that you want to have, you know, once a month. Whatever you do, try and link it to something that's really enjoyable so that if you are not already prone to enjoying planning, you build it up so that you become more excited about planning and you find more joy linked in planning. All right, well, that was all I had to talk about today, I think. I'm just going to double check, and that was it. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm just going to open it up, see if there are any other questions. These questions can be related to planning. They can be related to other things going on for you in business and personal life right now. Just want to put it out there and see if there's anything that anyone wants to chat about before we close today. All right.
Thank you so much, Tara. I think it
Yeah.
made a lot of sense. I think it's taking the first step. Sometimes it's like just like setting out the time to be like, okay, that's what I'm going to dedicate myself to. But it's thank you for the information. I think it makes total sense, and you know, it works sometimes where we have to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They ask us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally don't feel like I'm doing it for my personal life. I know I have to do it at work. That's part of my job.
Yeah.
And I do it. And, you know, I'm used to SMART goals, or more recently, people like the different ones. I'm blanking on the name right now. But, oh gosh, what OKRs.
OKRs,
OKRs.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I personally don't like those ones, but you know,
They're in fashion right now.
They are in fashion. So I'm already at the second company. It's like, oh, we're doing OKRs. I'm like, oh, great.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how some things come in and out of fashion. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm even just thinking about, like, I haven't let go of skinny jeans and won't be anytime soon, even though I know that that totally calls me out as a mom right now, right? Because I'm not wearing those 80s style jeans. But yeah, it's like that too, but with management, right? And measuring
Right.
goals and OKRs. Okay. Yeah, and the good thing is you can use OKRs for your business goal, and you probably have much more that you need to talk about in your business goals, but for your personal goal, you can make it smart, right? You can do it the way you
Yeah.
want.
I greatly prefer the SMART goals. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was
That's
an
great.
interesting session. Thank you.
Okay, great. One thing I forgot to mention, and actually it's why I had clouds on the, like, get it on your calendar. If you can figure out a time you're going to be uninterrupted, that it makes sense, do it. It's top of mind for me because at the end of May, I'm going to be on a plane for 5 hours to New York. So I actually have my mid-year planning scheduled for about an hour into that plane ride. I know how I am on planes. I also know it's been, a year and a half since I've been on a plane, and I can't wait. But I also know I'm not going to be interrupted, right, for 5 hours. And about 45 minutes in, once I settle down and just get in the groove, I'm going to be so excited to have that 2 hours of uninterrupted time to plan mid-year. So think about where you can make it easier on yourself by coupling it with an activity that perhaps you'll already be uninterrupted for. Wonderful. Sarah, do you have anything else or any questions? Then this can be related to the presentation.
I guess I hadn't.
Unrelated.
No, I mean, I think this was really helpful because I hadn't thought about planning as much in terms of like personal life. And of course, I'm like pretty thought out with like my job and where I want my career to be. So this will kind of make me take a step back and consider what I personally want to achieve and hold myself to it. And when you're talking about even just goals and peeling back the layers as to like why we didn't do something, I was thinking like I wanted to take a PMP course early this year, and I didn't do it simply because I was just exhausted and in first trimester.
And that may be the end of your why, and that's okay, right?
Yeah, I know. I got to that one why, and I was like, okay, that's good.
That's good.
But I do feel really good now. So I was like, well, that doesn't mean I can't do it now. Like it's better late than never, I guess, with this one goal. So I think taking the step back to schedule that and look at like why I haven't done it yet will be really good for me.
Yeah, and it's possible, and this is where it's intensely personal, right? Your why, like you may say to yourself, okay, why didn't I schedule it? Even though I'm feeling better now. Well, I'm focused on other things right now. And why am I focused on other things? Because I have this tremendous change happening in my life, and I want to appreciate all of the time that I've got, alone with my husband now and enjoying myself now. Like maybe I don't want to do the PMP right now. Like you may, and again, it's intensely personal. You may figure out as you keep asking yourself the why. And I'd encourage you, even, I know I was joking, like first trimester, I was exhausted. Okay, that's the end of your why. That's not necessarily the end of your why. Why are you doing that? Well, because I want a family and because we're lucky enough to be going through this opportunity. Keep going with those whys, because that's really where you get to the heart for you of what your decision making, whether consciously or subconsciously, has been. And you can really get to the heart of what you really want. And to the planning professional versus planning personal, this is what I think is the huge disconnect. This is how so many people wake up and have, those midlife, I joke now that it's like quarter life crises, because you're so used to planning one aspect of your life and it's going in the direction that you want. And then you wake up perhaps tremendously successful in that area, but you're not where you want to be elsewhere. And, is that worth it? No, like, let's be whole people, right? Let's be looking at this so that we are waking up every day feeling we're moving in the direction we want in all areas of our life. And that doesn't happen every day because stuff happens, life piles on, all that still happens. But in general, the more that we wake up feeling as though we're moving forward in alignment, and again, this also goes back to our values. And if you're watching and you're not clear on your 2 to 3 core values, definitely join us in July. We'll be going through that. But you want to make sure that you're living in alignment with what is most important to you right now, recognizing that over the course of a long period of time, those things will change, and we change, we grow, and we evolve. And the more that we practice this, the more we know about ourselves, and the better leaders we are. It's not just being selfish. It's not just planning what we want personally and saying, screw you, people I lead. No, it's actually making you a better leader.
No, that is helpful. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. If you're watching this later, hit hashtag replay so that we know you were here, and we can follow up to make sure we answer any questions that you have. Next week, we are starting a 4-part series on power. So next week, we're going to be talking about different types of power and really diving into the fact that power over should really only be exerted on one person. I bet you can guess who that is. And we'll talk about all next week. So thanks, everyone. Hope you're having a thanks. Bye.